Dude,
Jelly Roll passed
you
away,
just
I thought.
initiated something that you didn't know.
Also, boys, to start out this video with the banter as
It
always.
is the rubber band, isn't it?
I listened to on the way home from work. I listened to like 15 minutes of one of our first podcasts we uploaded.
Yeah.
It was abysmal.
Really?
Like
I
we
can't
just
imagine.
like we didn't know how to like talk to each other like the whole time. Like go back and like watch one.
Oh,
of
I
them, and
believe
you'll,
that.
And you'll be like it like there's not like a cadence. It's very stilted.
It's weird how there's so much improvement we could do, yet we're still so bad.
Nothing's actually changed all that much. That's a more impressive.
Like we
thing.
like honestly we are a lot better at least at talking
Threw a
and
grenade at me.
and holding a conversation while we're doing this. But man, back when we started, oh, it was terrible.
I think I and we recognize that, and that's why we started kind of like looking at structure to begin with, and then like a little bit of moderation. I'm not gonna say like full on moderation, but a little bit of like Mason.
We don't
Yeah.
moderate
Thing.
anymore.
No, we still do. I pitch it to
The
people.
reviews were like 30 minutes long and stuff. Or you're talking about like making
No, I'm
sure
talking
everybody
about
talks.
conversation flow, not
Oh,
necessarily.
okay, like
the
it's
time.
Mason's turn.
No,
Dylan's
yeah, the
turn.
time, whatever, it goes off the fucking rails. But that's a podcast, you know. They want to listen to all the rails go off, but no, but making sure you know there's a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit of a invisible talking stick in play. Like,
Yeah.
Is GTA 6 gonna be a thing?
nope.
What made you think of that right now?
You guys said a video game
Yeah,
earlier.
you guys were talking about.
But now we're talking about the podcast,
So-
and like we were about to lead into the podcast. You're like, GTA
And then Nathan
6.
said, "Nope."
Is that gonna happen?
Yeah, GTA 6 though.
Yeah.
Well, I just read that it's gonna cost $2 billion to make, possibly. So-
Billion.
They haven't already been working on it.
I mean, they have been. Well, probably not. No, they have.
God,
Yes.
that'll be 4 years from now then.
At least.
Trivia ready? Oh, I've already looked a ton of trivia. This movie was fascinating.
Oh, that's right. This is the movie we're talking about.
Yep.
I won't lie. Whenever I was going to pitch it to Nathan, I wholeheartedly forgot what movie I'd watched as of Monday night. Okay. Anyway, Theo, you in or not?
Oh, dude, she's in.
She's in.
Unless she follows Jill.
Go for it.
Okay. Welcome to an okay episode of the F Movie Podcast. We're your hosts, Mason, Price, Nathan, and Dylan, and this rubber band.
Yep.
Not for no particular reason at all. I'm just gonna wave it right here. Anyways,
Toss it on the price, he'll puff up like a fish.
oh my god, probably. Hold on. On today's episode, Nathan, what are we talking about?
We are going to be talking about a little movie called The Frighteners.
Is it little?
Directed by Peter
Peter
Jackson.
Who is Peter Jackson and why is he relevant?
King Kong.
Do you really not know?
Like
Lord
the
of the
new
Rings.
Lord of the
Oh.
Rings?
Yeah, Lord of the Rings is
The
probably
older, cooler ones.
Well, when I hear Lord of the Rings, I always think of that. Who is it? J.R. Tolkien or whatever?
That's the author of the
Yeah,
books.
So that's
not
the author of the
yeah.
books.
Not the
But
director
Peter
of the
Jackson's the
movies.
one that took it to film.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pretty notable director for some folks.
For everyone.
Yeah. For everybody
Yeah,
on Mason.
but me.
Most
Yeah.
people.
I think it's funny that you don't know who Peter Jackson is.
Well, I think of Percy Jackson.
Oh my gosh.
That's all.
Same initials.
Yeah.
When
a little
it,
different.
when it was doing the 90s credits
When are we
sequence
going
at
to
the
review that
beginning.
movie series?
Solid.
Anyway, when it was doing the 90s credits at the beginning of the movie, it said like executive producer Peter Jackson. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then it goes written by Peter Jackson. I was like, what is happening right now? And then it said directed by Peter Jackson. I was like, what? I don't know how this happened.
You ever just do drugs and make stuff?
He did with this movie.
Yeah.
And he dressed up in it too.
This is an interesting film,
What-
for sure.
Yeah, what's this movie about, Nathan?
Well, so this movie, it basically kind of opens with the idea of Michael J. Fox as a bit of like a grifter, a con artist. He's able to see and speak with ghosts, and he doesn't use that in the ways that most people might to like, help
Make
with,
an honest living.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to do anything honest. What he uses it for is to have a couple of flunky ghosts with him that help him trick people into thinking their house is haunted and getting them to pay him to unhaunt their house. Which, to be honest, is a lot better than genuinely trying to unhaunt their house, I would imagine. But yeah, so that's the character we're introduced with at the beginning. A lot of stuff happens, but it's mostly just that eventually there's a serial killer ghost that is partnered with his still alive
girlfriend.
girlfriend.
Yeah.
I don't think they're like husband and wife. We'll call them girlfriend.
They definitely smash though.
And yeah, they're just kind of getting.
You ever just keep on killing?
Just keep on killing even after you're dead.
Dead yet?
Thing going on, right? And yeah, it's ultimately about them trying to kill this ghost, kill the guy that's already dead.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
With a lot of questionable CG in the process.
So, on that note, it's maybe about halfway in the movie, so I apologize for leaping halfway in. I think peak CG is probably the old gunnery bastard.
The judge.
Yeah. They don't call me the hung judge for nothing.
He got again. I don't know why I was watching the credits so closely, but he got a special shout out. Like the person in charge of the judge's appearance was Frank Bottom, whatever his name was. And I was like, that's weird that like in the opening credits, along with like the director and writer and stuff, like it had the person who did the judge's outfit when you don't even know who the judge is.
Was he like the guy who did Full Metal Jacket? Like, show me your wolf.
Oh no,
You're getting
he's
them mixed up.
Yeah, you're getting,
Okay.
Yeah, that's the
But
real sergeant from that movie is in this.
Okay,
Yeah.
for
gotcha.
sure,
Playing
100%.
almost the exact same
same
character.
I mean,
character.
I swear it is the same guy. It's
Yeah.
gotta be like this is.
No,
like,
it is the same actor.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, it's the same
no,
actor,
you mean
but
the
it's
same
the same
world?
character.
Yeah, like I'm saying, this is the same world.
This is a crossover universe, and we didn't talk about the most ambitious crossover before Avengers. Yeah, no, I remember I right around seeing him hump his way through a sarcophagus. I thought, this is peak art.
I like them when they lie still.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that was probably my least
No,
favorite part.
no,
Yeah.
you are incorrect, sir. That whole museum thing is the best scene in this entire movie. Like, Frank tries taking off for a second, and the police just
Sir,
start.
It was the most
firing at him.
realistic portrayal of police I've seen in movies in a long time.
It's like,
though.
what are they doing?
They start guns blazing.
And then, like, the Dementor comes in for a second, and, like, Frank's like, ooga googa booga, and the police are just like, oh, it's whatever. Like, he's just talking to himself.
I will say there tends to be a very
Oh, my
a
God.
very superfluous amount of, like, nobody can see or be interacted with the ghost until it's convenient for
Until it's super
for
convenient.
a comedy moment or for, like, the plot for them to suddenly be, like, perceiving, hearing, or interacting with the ghost.
Like what?
Like, the whole museum scene for the most part, I mean, in general, right? Let's
The
start
museum
about
scene, definitely. Like, there was
Yeah.
stuff floating around, and people were just like,
people
Frank,
are right. The stuff is
Yeah,
floating.
They
the
were
stuff is
very
smashing.
focused on the main character and
Right.
him being the problem. Meanwhile, shenanigans are happening all
Yeah.
around them with the ghost.
I mean, if I'm seeing a guy who's like, all right, well, there's like, I don't know, Ted Bundy or something, I'm like, all right, that's kind of a big deal. Is that vase floating? It's still gonna notice in my head. You know? Like, that still registers on my radar as like, yeah. Yeah, that whole scene in general, but also the death ghost. I mean, the fact that everybody else is kind of like, I mean, even Michael J. Fox gets to be interacting with a lot of the ghosts a lot of the times, and it seems like a little so-so for the rest of the folk, right? So the newly dead, annoying boyfriend, Shift Brannigan guy, the yard dude.
I like the name.
Yeah, you know, so he
Zach,
dies.
we'll call him Zach Brannigan.
Yeah, so he dies, and then he's like talking to his wife, and his wife's cucking him in front of her, right? With Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
Mhm. At
And-
the dinner scene.
Who is
Right.
so charming, by the way.
Michael J. Fox?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, he's
Throughout
always
this
charming.
entire movie.
Yeah.
I understand.
Mhm.
Like,
I get it. Yeah.
Oh, he can get it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, regardless of the situation, her boyfriend's dead.
Yeah.
Like,
Gotta move on.
He needs to move on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole thing was, like, he's in, like, a purgatory.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then Michael J. Fox is telling all of these people, you know, just cross over, just go.
Yeah.
I think they do have the choice, don't they?
Yeah, up to
it's described early on
basically
that they...
there's like a moment that they can choose to move on, and if they don't do that, then they get stuck.
Right. Also, quick note for the end, not story related,
You
but
were going everywhere.
I know,
Yeah.
but this is where I'm like mentally recapping through it. We're just gonna pretend that there wasn't a huge hentai scene at the end with all the tentacles and the.
You mean the descent to
The
hell?
descent
Yeah.
to hell.
Dude, that was
so
wild.
that scene is like, I watched this as a kid, and that was like in my head is like that's hell.
Mm,
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's
it worked.
giant worms
Yeah.
eating people as they're like descending down this endless chasm.
Yeah.
which is a pretty good portrayal. I mean, I think that's a unique way to go.
Yeah,
you know?
it was a very unique portrayal for sure.
Yeah.
Like that's the like that and him like the serial killer ghost like kind of coming through the walls and like under the rug.
Yeah.
Those scenes are the things that I remember from whenever I watched.
Yeah,
this as a kid.
those are standout visuals too. Like
when Dylan said that it's very like convenient when it wants to be, in my head the only thing that I kind of disliked about this was anything that was happening inside the mansion when the rug was happening, the walls, the portraits, because like that's a cheat code. Like that house could come down on top of anybody that it's wanting to, you know, completely decimate. But it's almost just like toying with them. You know, it's just like you know, just like just messing with whoever it's messing with.
Right. I do feel it's a little strange too that it's like, I don't know what it is about them in the mansion, but I felt like I was watching the same scene 3 or 4 times over, right?
No,
like,
for sure.
The mansion is the worst part of the movie.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think.
It feels
Like
very
everything
samey.
that's kind of involved with that, and then
It's always a little weird because of like the mother as well.
Yeah.
It's like this weird relationship that they keep
could've
trying to like allude to being
been done
something more
without.
interesting, and it didn't really need to be there.
No.
Right. She just kind of gets axed in the end anyway, off screen and then back on screen. Like, yeah, it feels really silly. And she's like, well, you know, I could have her locked up if I wanted to. And I'm like, thanks, Mom. You know?
Did we
like,
ever find out why she had Frank's knife in like her closet? Because the mom calls her out on it or something.
Yeah.
Like, you weren't supposed to be in there, but I don't feel like we found out why she had it.
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
maybe she thought she was like keeping her daughter away from trouble by doing that or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I want to go back to more of like the beginning of the movie. And one of the first time I noticed like what this movie kind of was wanting to go for was when, I don't know if anybody else caught it, was the flashback, like the first, like to set up like what happened in the past about the serial killer guy with the flashback.
Yeah.
And every time it changed scenes in the black and white, it was a gunshot every time. Like it had like a flashback and it went. I was like, whoa, is it gonna do that again? And then it kept talking. And then I was like, Jesus.
Yeah. the editing choices on this one are definitely something, right? Like even the when not Jim Carrey, although somehow
it was The Mask.
Yeah,
right. This
right.
movie was The Mask meets Casper.
Who?
The spiritual
Casper's
investor
another
guy, the black hair, slick haired one who works.
Talking about the black guy and the white guy that follow him
No.
around?
I'm talking. He's a living dude. He's the guy who works.
He's
like
the
a police,
detective.
The detective guy.
Yeah.
Oh, he gets his own section.
Yeah, he's gonna get
Put
his
some respect on his name.
But for the record, he looks and mannerisms a lot like Jim Carrey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right.
With a lot more lip action.
Yeah, so whenever he's like telling the story of like him, his whatever, Michael J. Fox and his wife and the whole like curving off the road thing and stuff like that. And the way he's describing it, the flashbacks are so like snapped, like reenacted flashbacks, like no vocalization, nobody's saying anything. It's just, well, and then the car goes off the road, and then it's just that whole little thing. I couldn't help but just be like, all right. This does make me feel like I'm watching an episode of Snapped, and that doesn't. I don't know if I hate that or not, but
I loved it. Everything he did was golden.
that guy, oh boy.
I think for me, knowing what this movie was about was obviously whenever he first encounters the ghost, like inside of his little unbuilt house thing, and like he had like the dog that was carrying around the dude's jawbone, and like. I don't know, it was all just piecing together.
They thought their CGI on that dog was amazing.
Yeah,
because he got like a close-up
Yeah.
for so long.
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought that part was kind of fun. It definitely set the tone, because like you were going to revisit these characters over and over and over again. One was a dunce, one was a guy who liked cigars.
Yeah.
Actually,
the Soy
they
Boy
got-
Beta Cut Ghost.
Yeah.
Until they got axed like pretty quickly.
Until they get ghosted, which is also
like,
a whole
as soon
point of
as
contention.
They come up against the villain.
Yep.
They don't have it.
They
But
fold.
they
None of them
sacrifice,
have what it
basically.
takes.
They buy some time.
Why is the bad guy is basically just this bad guy serial killer?
Yeah.
Dressed up in like
The
a
Grim
death
Reaper,
costume
right.
with a scythe.
Mhm.
And he seems to have like even more like supernatural kind of powers, but like why does he dress up like that?
Because he's such a baddie.
Yeah.
I think he just feels like that makes him more sinister.
Yeah.
Like it's.
Wouldn't you?
Like
Yeah.
there's some kind of like ghostly like power level that comes with having killed people, I guess, because he is like clearly way stronger
He's maxed
than
out.
the other ghost.
And
Yeah.
also,
yeah.
everyone else like only wears what they die in, right? That's what
Yeah.
Right.
the other two ghosts
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
So this dude had to have had some kind of edge
Yeah.
over the extra world that he went to.
I think that the unofficial, my headcanon answer is that, yeah, he just leveled up.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, he leveled up
prestiged.
killing people, and then he just kind
I
of
mean,
unlocked that costume.
Killing things in games gives you XP.
That's
Yeah, so.
That's what serial killers have figured out that none of us have.
Yeah.
That actually, the serial killer, he's like, man, I'm wanting to get more points than that guy. I don't know if anybody like looked up
Yeah.
the story of that, but like that
No,
guy like
no.
was real.
Oh, really?
Like the guy, he's like, man, I want to get more kills than that guy. And like in real life, like they're like the story of like it's almost the exact same as the movie. Like it was this guy working somewhere, and he found this girl who was like he was like 21, she was like 14, I think.
Yeah.
And like I think he like she fell in love with him or something, and then
Well, you
they
can call it
started
grooming.
they started going around killing like tons of people together.
Sure.
But it was very similar to like what happened here. So I thought that was really interesting.
I haven't watched the My Favorite Murder podcast about this episode yet, so stay tuned. Can that be a crossover? Maybe
We get
we
some
should reach
girls
out
on
to
here.
them. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think the funniest part in the entire movie, I think I know Price's, but mine, at the very beginning, whenever the dude, Michael J. Fox runs through the dude's fence, and he's like, oh, oops, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then, like, shortly later, they have to call him because their house is haunted.
It just blows through the
Dude,
fence again.
they waste no time. He plows through another portion of the fence.
Yeah, the unplowed portion. That's the first place he goes
And he
through.
parks right in the front yard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's things like that are very much like of the era
Yeah.
Yeah.
of storytelling, like of that era of comedy.
This, when A Day to Remember said disrespect your surroundings, they were actually talking about 90s and 80s disrespectful property tropes in the movies.
If you're talking about the funny, like the actual funniest part of the movie, Mason, are we going to go ahead and talk about the detective?
I think I know your part.
Oh,
It had
boy.
to do with a gun.
Oh, it did.
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
Yeah, there it
because
is.
like the beginning, like when you first meet the detective. So let's go ahead and talk about probably the best character we've ever talked about on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like when he came in, like he's just like this weird meek, like small guy who's like, he's got weird mannerisms. Then during the story where he's recounting what Frank did and all that kind of stuff, like he gets animated a bit more. But then once the second half of the movie starts, he comes into his prime and he is bouncing off the walls, doing God knows what.
Full cocaine bear.
Like he finally, like the policeman goes up to him and is like, "You can't do that." And he said, "I made sure to write it down." He says, "By the power invested in me by the President of the United States." It's like it's the strangest way to just assert your power. Everybody's just like, "Yeah, I guess this crazy man can do that." And then eventually.
Dick.
Yeah, are you gonna stop him if
Yeah.
he's yelling that at you?
And then he like kidnaps the love interest like at one point, and then reveals that he's got like satanic writings all over his body.
Yeah.
And
This guy's ready to Nazi.
I don't really know what happened there.
So he has a whole history of like going after like really big dangerous types,
Undercover
and at one
cults,
point he infiltrated a satanic cult. That's one of the things that he talks about.
Okay,
Yeah.
he was a lot. I was trying to follow, and then when he finally when Frank gets interviewed by him, and you're talking about editing, Dylan, when they like he's talking to Frank and trying to get him to crack, and it keeps zooming in on his lips.
Oh my god.
Over and over, and
I was just waiting for spittle, Like,
and he said, "Did he piss in your hush puppies?"
yeah, that's the line that definitely sticks out from that character. To me.
And then finally, when he's finally descended into full madness, the best line of the movie's delivered when Frank, the detective has Frank cornered, and Frank's like, "You're an asshole," and then the detective goes, "Yeah, I'm an asshole," with an Uzi.
And he pulls it from his trench coat out of nowhere
Full Neo from the Matrix.
and shoots him
And blasts Frank like 4 times.
in the arm.
And somehow Frank is fine. He lives just fine through
He
that.
shook it off, I
So,
guess you could
Yeah.
say.
Good grief.
He had
was
hardened on.
He was a treat. I loved him.
He didn't hear, but he would laugh if he did.
No, he wouldn't have.
I heard the Taylor Swift reference.
No.
You're amazing.
Is that Taylor Swift reference?
You said "Shake It Off."
Yeah, I was talking about Michael J. Fox's shaking.
Jesus. Sorry, I went to a more lighthearted place.
Sorry, Taylor Swift fans. We're not talking about you for 1 second. Anyways, yeah, this movies.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you know? Peter Jackson can do something pretty good.
You know what? TBD.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun.
It's interesting that he goes on to make Lord of the Rings following something like this.
I know
Right?
the
I think
ramp
that was
off
his next movie.
Yeah, I want to
It
know.
has
the
to be.
order.
This is like
I'll
90
look.
something, and then
Yeah, 'cause
This was
it's not
97.
It's not too long after that.
he maybe
Lord of
has
the
one
Rings
movie
has to be
between
in
that.
production,
2001. I mean, so yeah, it had to be out. Start doing 98.
Not that quick, guys. He did Jack Brown. No, that was a producer.
Producer, yeah, director though.
Well, it says he's a producer on Lord of the Rings too, so
Oh, yeah,
it's
'cause
not
he's a
very
producer.
accurate.
And a director.
Well, I mean, there's Jack Brown, Genius, and then Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, so
Let me see if he did not direct this. So his next movie actually was Lord of the Rings.
right. So
Yeah.
the ramp
Alright.
from this to Lord of the Rings is
Yeah,
like
yes.
that's a big change.
yeah.
So I think it was that he was the only ones that had managed to get the estate of Tolkien to actually let him make this movie. So I like to imagine that they saw Frighteners beforehand.
They're like,
Yeah,
son of a
yeah.
bitch, I'm in.
themselves, He can do it.
He's the
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
He's
We-
our guy.
We said no to the guy that made Excalibur specifically to try
Right.
and get us.
Did they?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That,
the
they
reason
were.
Good
Excalibur
reason.
was made was because that guy wanted to make Lord of the Rings, and he was hoping that by making
But wouldn't let
Excalibur,
Yeah.
it would show that he had the chops to make Lord of the Rings.
And then they didn't.
But
let
then
him
they
make
saw
it.
the Frighteners and were like, "That's it.
That's
Our
our guy.
mind has been changed.
Can you imagine, you're thinking about rebooting Harry Potter 30 years from now, and you're like, oh, I watched Cube, and we're gonna pick that guy. You know,
We want the Cube guy.
Yeah, we want the Cube guys. That's how I feel about that.
Or
decision.
House on Haunted Hill guy.
Right.
We want that guy.
Well, now House on Haunted Hill is a banger.
I mean, House on Haunted Hill would
Like
be
Cube, is it?
it's a really good
Cubist.
teen
Yeah.
made for TV movie.
Yeah, it
is
is.
what I would call that.
Yeah. Featuring Sonya Blade from Mortal Kombat, or whatever Price calls her from Happy Gilmore.
Oh, Veronica
Yeah,
Vaughn.
There you go. There it is.
Oh,
All right. Any other thoughts on this movie?
this is in my opinion, the best Nathan movie that we have watched.
Oh,
Wow.
that is.
That's
That's
scary.
fine, but okay.
Okay.
I thought that this movie had really actual good jump scares. It was trying
Really?
real
I did
hard.
not.
I
No,
did.
I'm not saying I was shaking in my boots. Another reference.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got
Sorry,
it.
I'm a little late. But, it tried so hard with some of these sort of quick jabs of oh, got you.
Yeah.
But it wasn't terrifying. It was just and it had a lot of comedy too that was landing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I told Price this movie reminded me a ton of Casper with Fatso.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So
the
this
skinny guy
is kind
was.
of contemporary to that time too.
Same,
I
right.
watched all this sort of stuff as a kid and really enjoyed it.
I believe.
And yeah, I do remember thinking that this one
This
to
is an
me
adult.
was a little bit scarier
Yes.
than what I was used to.
Adult Casper.
Right.
And they did it in a great way. We were talking about how Michael J. Fox just communicates with these ghosts.
Mhm.
It's so natural. I don't know why he's made a living conning people when he could have made
Yeah.
probably a more exceptional
Moving
living.
on, people.
Yes.
Talking
This
through
It's
grief.
gonna go bad.
Yes. Oh man, who's gonna budge? Oh,
Fuck around, find out, cat.
she's smart.
Yeah,
She's not getting.
she's triangulating the temperature, right?
But no, I do. I think that this movie had a lot of good comparisons, and it did it a little bit differently too, which was fun. But
yeah. Give me that rubber band.
I'm sorry. I wish we could move the camera down just a little bit
Yeah.
because the cat is currently
And a rubber
chewing
band.
on a rubber band that's gonna hit one of them pretty soon.
Yeah.
and I think it's going to be Nathan.
Yeah, probably.
Also, a little bit of trivia, even though this isn't even my movie.
Yeah.
Apparently, Peter Jackson was trying to get this PG-13, but the ratings board would not budge on R. So he
Probably because of the serial killer.
Probably because the killing.
possibly,
Yeah.
but he got very frustrated. So
I'd feel frustrated.
to kind of like get them, I guess he did the over the top death scene of the detective. Like, you remember when his head gets blasted
Oh,
and
yeah.
it goes
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
everywhere? That was in retaliation for getting rated R.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, the drag me to hell scene probably didn't do him too
Right.
many favors.
the
either.
tentacle
Probably
porn
not.
hell scene is a bit implicative for PG.
Yeah.
Like,
Sure.
on
But
that
otherwise,
note,
a lot of this movie did
Yeah,
seem
this-
kind of like kiddish.
this
like
this
I
movie
mean,
holds up as well. I mean, like, this movie, I don't think is like 5 degrees too dark compared to, like, let's say Clockstoppers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll agree.
I feel like they're.
Let's talk more about Clock
it's not that
Stoppers.
much. Yeah.
Frankly, it's not that much darker. Like,
I know. There were a lot of emotions I felt this movie, Mason, but scared was never one of them.
I'm not
No.
saying I was scared, but I did appreciate
He thought it
that
was
they were
spooky.
going
Even
for
jump
it.
scares, like I didn't
Oopsie.
see that.
There was like one scene in particular I can remember. It's like the you know how doors have like those big mail slots, like the metal plate
Yeah.
that swings. Like at one point they were in the mental hospital and like the detective's eyes like just like shot on there and you start like
Yeah.
looking around. Just dumb little things like that, but I appreciated them going for it because it is supposed to be kind of a spookier movie.
Well,
Also, the serial
Do we-
killer guy was kind of scary. Like
oh, yeah.
he was cheesing the entire time, and I hated it. He is
Yeah.
the thing of my nightmares. Like,
Yeah.
I don't like that.
I think that like a lot of the characters in this really were like very well cast, very
Yeah.
well acted. Like it
I
was all
agree
very
that.
cheesy characters,
Yeah.
but
Right.
they
Yeah.
executed all of them well.
Yeah.
The love interest and the murder girl at the end look. I had a hard time like separating them. They look like very interchangeable brunettes.
They did. Whenever they were
Yeah.
chasing each other.
Right, when that was happening, I'm like,
yeah.
which one's trying to kill who again?
Yeah,
Like,
like, what? Who's in whose house?
right. That's about the only criticism I could have as far as the casting stuff.
It
Like,
was pretty funny when the switch flipped for the mansion girlfriend lady. Whenever the love interest
Yeah.
goes upstairs and it's like looking around, it's like, hey, she's not. I don't think she's who that I think is, because prior to that she was like real sweet and meek and everything. Then she's like, I think she's not who she is. And then the next scene, the girlfriend's busting through the
She has,
door.
like, an
and
axe.
yeah.
A knife just stabbing at the
Yeah.
door.
I do love a sudden heel turn with it. But her gently caressing her man's balls whenever she's like, yeah, that sounds good to me, so like that. I remember thinking, and again, back to my like very like superfluous rules of like who. Okay, so now she's a psychic, which okay,
Yeah, did you see the ending?
yeah,
The 5-minute like extra part at the
Yeah,
I
end?
didn't- I
the
didn't
thing
see
where
it.
she can
yeah.
now see the ghost.
She can see the ghost now. Yeah.
The cop comes up. They're having like a picnic or something, like
Of
the
course
the
they
love interest and the Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the
Yeah.
90s.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
got it.
Like his house is
Because
getting
it's
like
built
torn
in,
down, and
yeah.
they're just.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
anyway,
didn't see
she says something about the ghost in the back seat,
Yeah.
and he's
Okay.
like, "What?"
Mhm. And it's
That's
just like
about
I
it.
guess people just get that ability whenever
Yeah.
they hang out with.
That
people.
is one thing that they completely miss with this movie, though, is I did not feel any chemistry between
No.
them.
Yeah.
Frank.
I get liking
I don't
Michael
know
J.
if there
Fox.
was supposed to be
Yeah.
because she was a widower, and like he immediately like slid in, like it
Yeah,
didn't
he
feel
did.
natural.
But there was
period.
no chemistry. Like, that's
Right.
the
Yeah.
issue.
Like I get why somebody would like Michael J. Fox.
Yes.
I just didn't see it.
You
With
know,
the,
you know what it is? It's a what's the X-Files?
oh, Mulder and Scully.
Yeah, Mulder
Yeah.
and Scully situation where like they're more like work,
Work acquaintances. at
yeah,
that point.
acquaintances
Yeah.
Yeah.
more so than like lovers.
But they were
which-
supposed to be lovers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were supposed to solve the
Yeah.
case.
Right.
Though, like
They were having a picnic and about to kiss.
Yeah.
about to is the main word you just said.
And that's the tease, right?
Bucko.
But they want to preserve their work
Wait,
boundaries.
For
Does he
someone who
want does he want
specializes
a
in
drama?
romances.
Does he want a romance drama?
Well, if they were teens, maybe he'd be into it.
I think he'd be more into
Teens
it.
are really on the nose about their romance.
That's true.
They put it right up front,
Yep, they know what they're doing.
and I respect them for it.
Please keep this going.
Fat, thin, perfectly fit.
This movie's fat. It is. This movie's 2 hours long for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that can be trimmed off of this movie, namely the mansion stuff and with the girlfriend and the mom that kind of leads to nothing. almost that whole plot line could be cut and nothing would be lost. And that's a sizable chunk of the movie. I mean, the opening scene is about the girlfriend doing stuff. I mean, there's about 20 minutes could be shaved off if you just cut that one storyline. So definitely fat.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty fat. And that is a place to look at for it because there's so much of them just trying to, like, establish this weird relationship between the widowed woman and the girlfriend and her mother and all that sort of stuff. And it's like they're trying to misdirect you with it, but I don't know, it's not like that misleading. It's not like a good payoff.
No.
I guess is ultimately the thing. It's like if it had been a good payoff, maybe, but it's not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, this movie's very fat. And it's weird on its pacing too, right? Like, we have objectively 3 villains, but they all feel like they're all racing at the end to get their screen time. Like,
That's how Puss in Boots was.
a little
Get
bit.
out of here.
He said it.
They did it perfectly, Dylan.
No,
Yeah.
right? So, like,
going.
you get Grim Reaper Killer for, like, the first 2/3 of the movie, technically speaking.
He's a Dementor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I thought she was canceled. Anyway, so we get him for 2/3 of the movie, and then the special agent Killer Uzi for like, I don't know, in and out 15 minutes.
Not long enough.
Right. I'm like, okay, for that reason I kind of want to cut him, but you kind of can't because he's like, wow, that guy's gas.
The best. Yeah.
Yeah, that guy's sick. And then we just leap back into it being petite Mrs. Killer wife, not wife.
Mrs.
Girlfriend.
Lover, serial
Yeah.
killer lover.
Killer partner. Title's unofficial with it. And I was just like, I thought about that afterwards, and I was just like, whose fucking movie was this? Like, I'm like,
Well, it's Michael J. Fox's.
yeah, and it is, and it's Michael J. Fox's movie, and it's just like Michael J. Fox does a bunch of stuff today with a bunch of ghosts. Yeah, but yeah, the mom scene could get kind of objectively. You could cut the special agent guy if he wasn't so entertaining.
You're not cutting him.
You could
I won't allow it.
you could cut like most of the house and a lot of the museum.
The museum's
The
fun.
The museum's kind of fun, but I could
You're
go
You're
without.
cutting out the joy.
It's stupid.
No,
but it's
you
fun.
could cut the. All right, so the hangman banging the sarcophagus is
Thank
my
you.
cut. That part I was like, this isn't
Thank
funny.
you.
This is just cringe.
Thank
Seeing
you.
him hump through the sarcophagus, I was
Like that was pure for comedic effect, and
Yeah.
I rolled my eyes. I was like, "What
Yeah.
the fuck?"
Like he staggers it with his 6 shooters. And
Yeah.
it's like, blah, 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 blah.
I think even
and they could have left it at that, like
Right.
as him humping. But afterwards, he was like, "I like them when they're still." Stop.
yeah,
That's not funny in the
quit
90s.
giving him lines.
That
Yeah,
might have been funny in the 40s.
right.
Like,
No, yeah, I'm not the crowd for that joke.
No.
Anyways, yeah, so I cut more than I care to admit. Go ahead, Mason.
I think that this movie was 2 hours long because they thought that CGI, they had it in the bag,
Mhm.
that they really wanted to show it off.
It's the same one they used for the ghost at the end of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
That's what I
Um,
was thinking. Like they
yeah.
just they
Same
had
tech.
the same assets.
Yeah.
They had the same template.
Yeah.
If you look really close at like the host of ghosts
Mm.
in Lord of the Rings, it's actually got a couple of the ghosts from this just
Yeah.
hiding out in the background.
You'll see the guy who's
Easter
smoking the
eggs.
cigar
Yeah.
the whole time.
One black man from the 70s.
Dressed as a black man
Yes.
from the 70s.
Yes.
No, I do think it's very chunky. Like, if I could trim up any parts. To me, whenever Michael J. Fox was, like, staggering through, like, the old mental hospital or whatever he had that, shooting at, I didn't actually like the intertwining of, like, the real world and, like, him. I didn't like that at all.
Mm.
I think that was a little silly because we already knew the story.
Yeah.
It was him discovering the story, but the audience had already known, so it seemed a bit
A little redundant.
useful.
Yeah.
Or useless. I'm sorry. So I would have cut that for sure. Other than that, the guy with the 6 shooters, didn't like him either. The major, the
Like
staff
Judge?
sergeant. No, I liked him.
He was the 6-shooter guy.
No, I'm talking about the guy who was like, "Shah-rah-rah-rah-rah." And the
You got-
cemetery.
Oh, you're talking about the drill sergeant.
I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked him.
You
Sergeant
liked him.
Payne.
Give me
Okay.
more of him.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
cool.
Well, you want a whole movie of him because that exists.
Yeah. But yeah, definitely chunky. But those few pieces I could definitely do without.
Full Metal Jacket. There's the other movie that character's in. I feel like there's another one, right?
I feel like
Yeah, I think
There's
that
at least a
character
couple.
has actually shown up in more than just.
Yeah,
these
he's a
two
reoccurring
films.
cinema character
Yeah.
in the 90s. Like, the 90s is just kind of its own shared universe of movies with
Yeah.
some characters.
Nathan, I got a question if you don't.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
What's everyone's favorite, and I mean like best movie of Nathan's that we've watched, excluding V for Vendetta?
That's a good-
That
saying-
feels oddly specific.
I'm saying best, not favorite. Like, oh yeah, that one was.
What do I
pretty
think?
funny.
Oh, like Like if I'm taking my
Like if you got Nathan's catalog of movies he's picked for the
Yeah.
podcast, and it's like, oh yeah, I'd actually want to watch that one because I really like that
Easy.
I
one.
have two answers.
What basically
One for like cinema is
Mhm.
Mad Max. Like that movie is fantastic.
Fury
Alright,
Road. Just
alright.
to
But-
specify.
Personally, Cube. I love Cube. Cube is fantastic.
Yeah.
I will never get tired of
Cube.
Les Cube.
Yeah. If I
Le Cub, if
Le
we're
Cub.
talking French.
yes, if I recall correctly, the Blade Runner double feature was your pick one.
Yep.
Yeah. So
yeah, it was.
absolutely, Blade Runner 2049. That movie is in
Yeah.
my top 10. Movie's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I've thrown some good stuff out there.
Every now and
but
again.
I definitely do. I do just more and more only want to put weird oddball stuff.
If you keep doing this, hell yeah. Keep
I'm
it up.
fine with it.
Well,
yeah.
awesome.
I just
I'm
want you to pick
telling
Ghost
ya.
from Mars already.
Just
'cause you
know
haven't
this
seen
is.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just know that this is as good as it gets.
Oh, no.
with
This
the ones
season?
that oh, and by a lot.
By a
Oh,
lot.
no.
Oh, no.
The next two are way worse.
And 3 hours long.
I don't even.
Don't know.
I don't remember. I think they're only about 2 hours long.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Cool.
You're just gonna be Titanic.
R.I.P.
On VHS.
Yeah.
2-part VHS.
Price.
Mine's definitely this movie.
This movie.
By
That's
a lot.
surprising.
Like even more than Mad Max, more than
You're
Blade
nuts.
Runner, definitely Cube, Fifth Element,
I feel like he's
whatever
very
else.
even being John Malkovich.
Yes, even being John Malkovich,
Oh
I have
my
no
God. That I'll
interest.
agree.
I
Yeah,
liked that
okay.
movie, but like this one,
I think that movie just surprised you.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Was the only thing
The
there.
Like-
Interview with a Vampire.
Right.
no God,
Queen of the
Yeah,
Damned.
Queen of the Damned.
Yeah.
I can think of way
Fucking
more.
Kingdom of Heaven.
Heaven, yeah.
What
Kingdom
was
of
that
Heaven.
one with Matthew McConaughey and then the gun and the baldness?
Rain of Fire.
Yeah.
Rain of Fire? Yeah.
It's definitely this movie. This is the most like Nathan movie I can think of. Like,
This is.
I think this is so campy, over the top. It's got some like little serious undertones. If it was a bit more cinematic, it would be more Nathan's cup of tea. But
I
I
think
like
it's a good my kind of movie choice because it's one of those movies where as you talk about it, you also talk about like how there's so many people that went on to do better things
Yeah.
that were in this movie
Yeah.
and stuff like that, which happens with the majority of movies that I end up picking that are
Yeah.
like smaller, more oddball stuff.
Nathan I figured out Nathan's taste finally. Nathan goes and what I presume watches interviews of very famous actors of now and finds the one movie that they acted
That
in
they
that they
broke
never
through.
talk about.
Oh.
No, the movie that they did, and they're like, I hope to God nobody goes through my IMDb and watches this. And he says, bet. And then he watches it,
And then
it's
has
just-
3 other people watch it.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then talks about it.
Yes. I'm convinced that's your strategy now, and you can't talk me out of it.
Well, I mean, Space Truckers did give
Yeah.
us Tywin Lannister
That's
Yeah.
true.
with the
With the
glowing
chainsaw
cock.
dick.
Somewhere, I think somewhere in your genre taste, you're somewhere between Rain of Fire and Space Truckers is the perfect Nathan movie. Like,
I mean, yeah,
yeah.
for sure. I would be all about staying in those boundaries
Yes.
forever.
If those are the fence lines, like you're like everything in between is just gravy for me. Scores.
Let's go.
Mason, lead the way.
I think I'm gonna land at an 8 on this one.
Wow.
I was
That's pretty
between
good.
a
I like
7.5 and an 8. I'm gonna give it the benefit of the doubt. I told Price, and by
Dang.
numbers, by comparing this to Casper is just such a great comparison for me because I love it. I love Casper. Such a good thing.
Casper's good, but it also has
Casper is
Christina
really
Ricci.
good.
Well,
Such a
but it also
random
has
movie.
like the CGI that's like just so good.
Yeah.
It's dreary. Anyways, This
Come on, watch
movie,
Casper.
I think it does it really, really well. The
I
only...
want to play Casper on PS1.
Ooh, I bet that is the ugliest
I've
game
got
ever.
it on my Steam Deck.
I believe
No, I think that the jokes in this movie, for the most part, hit. I think that the charming Michael J. Fox he's fantastic with everyone he encounters. The only people I didn't much care for was like the sheriff, like the duncy, like. But he's meant to be dumb because he doesn't know anything. He doesn't know nearly as much as all the other characters that are involved.
Right.
I don't know. There was a couple characters that I didn't much care for, but this movie, it was a sight for sore eyes, I guess.
You all are wild. This movie's a 5.5.
Oh.
This movie's bad.
Oh, get him!
He
This-
shot it.
This is the
He's
fir-
already dead.
This has been the first movie in a long time that has like solidly felt like a 5 to me, not a 6, because a 6 even has some redeeming qualities. This is right around the point where it's like, I'm like cringing in ways I don't enjoy. I'm like, I'm laughing at it more than laughing with it. Although sometimes I am laughing with it. Yeah.
With an Uzi.
Yeah, the Uzi. That whole character is kind of just like, what the fuck?
It's like so over the top.
He was awesome. I loved him.
I'm not faulting them. That guy is awesome. Michael J. Fox is charming, but it's also, I don't know, maybe it's my overexposure to Michael J. Fox. As a kid, I watched a lot of the show Spin City. I don't know if you guys ever saw that on TV.
No.
That's the poor in me.
MTV.
No, it was on like NBC or ABC. It was one of the BC,
never heard
like
of that.
something BC. Yeah, so he had his own TV show where he was like in New York and he's kind of just like a business guy doing like grifty character stuff like this, right?
Mhm.
So like I don't know. I feel like I had that on all the time when I was watching Michael J. Fox and seeing him just be that same person.
Oh, wow.
I was like, yeah, whatever. I like Michael J. Fox, but this is a lot of what I've seen of him already. So maybe that's not like as flavorful for me on that front. And all the rest of the characters are pretty whack. I mean, we got Black Ghost, we got Beta Ghost, we got Killer Ghost. We don't have Space Ghost though, and that was annoying for me. Yeah.
He had Dog Ghost.
Fucking Dog Ghost.
Dog Ghost.
Yeah. This
R.I.P.
I did not get as much enjoyment as I wish I'd gotten out of this movie. That being said, fuck them gnomes. Michael J. Fox is right. He backtracked over that one.
That was
Yeah.
poor fence.
Yeah, but I was eagerly waiting for this movie to end. Yeah, it's like a strong 5.5. It may be my first 5.5 thinking about it, but this feels definitively in that. Fact check me on that later.
Yeah, Mason.
Anyway, Price.
I really enjoyed this movie.
Yeah, no shit.
Heck no. I want to give
It was a
Nathan-
little chunky,
Yeah.
but it's a
But it's a
10!
This movie is certainly not a 10.
Mm.
I did enjoy it quite a bit. I mean, I was laughing the whole time. Never once felt scared. That's been the thing that's gotten me most.
That one's
Not
weird.
It was
Like-
scary. It was just that it was trying to be, and I appreciated it because otherwise it was gonna be Casper.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was an adult
Casper the crazy ghost.
Casper the serial killer.
I don't know. But, I mean, the biggest attraction is that it's too long, and, I mean, that whole storyline with the girlfriend and her mom is kind of extraneous.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't needed. Could have cut that. And, the love interest, there's no chemistry there, and there's a lot of, screen time with her. I never felt like any connection with them. But other than that, this movie is a lot of fun. I mean, it knows it's goofy, and I love that it sells that. It doesn't, try... I don't know, it doesn't try to be something it's not. It knows what it is and flaunts it, and has an old 6-shooter ghost go have sex with a mummy. It has a random detective guy go from nothing to this crazed lunatic with writing on his chest shooting people
Do you
everywhere.
think that he got some of the venom dose that Tobey Maguire got in the third Spider-Man? Because he kind of started to look like him a little bit.
I
Yeah, he
wish.
does have that same greasy hair.
Yeah.
I wish he did, but this movie was really good. I really enjoyed it. It probably is my favorite movie that Nathan has picked. I'm still going with the 7 though. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit, but again, getting a buck closer to that 8 is rewatchability, and I have no interest in watching this movie.
I'll agree with that one.
I
don't
did.
know if I'll ever see
I
it.
did like it. It was very enjoyable, but yeah, I'm not going back to this one ever.
Okay. Well, definitely surprised. I don't know. For some reason, I just kind of figured that everybody would be
Dumping on it?
Screaming
would be,
at you.
Yeah,
would be
I'm like
dumping
him.
on it like Dylan.
Yeah.
Because I I kind of had planned this season to put just a bunch of bombs on the.
This
on
has
the
been
wall.
your highest rated movie in a long time.
Yeah.
Share shit.
It's only going to go up from here, is my understanding. Your negative seems to be what we like.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. I think we're going lower. We might be shooting for the moon.
It's gonna be like Dustin with Cabin in the Woods.
Yes.
When he came out, I was like,
He's like, this movie's
sucks.
so bad, right?
Like,
We're like,
hey.
But yeah, I mean, to me, this movie's got like a nostalgia factor to it, and like something that actually like stuck out in my mind as a kid, which is why I went back and rewatched it. And I had watched it actually ahead of putting it on the list because I just wanted to see like kind of if I thought it was even worth the time. And yeah, I mean,
And
I
the
think
screaming.
it
appreciate
was. You know, it's very silly. It's very 90s. But you know, if you're in for that, I think you're gonna get a really solid experience out of this movie. Like it's gonna feel like you're just back in that era. And I think I'll give it like a 7.5.
All
I feel
right.
pretty good about that.
Nice little rounded off
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
I like it.
It's not like I don't love this movie, but I do find a lot of what it has to offer pretty enjoyable, and I'd recommend giving it a watch too.
What did critics think about this movie?
Oh,
Um,
they're all dead now.
Yeah, it's true.
So
this was in the
IMDb
90s.
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Dead.
Dead yet?
IMDb gives it a 7.1.
Mhm.
Rotten Tomatoes. I guess we should see what our audience and critic
I'm
scores
I am
are.
curious about the audience score on this very
Oh,
specific.
they're gonna love it.
If it'll load.
TBD. Drum roll says.
Okay, so we're pretty similar on these scores. So critics 67%, audience 71%. So overall, I'd say we probably kind of landed right about there.
It makes you think, like, were movies coming out for like critics to be like, yeah, 67? Like 2 out of 3 were like, yeah, this movie hits, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
They're like the dentists that they always tell you about.
I know,
9
right?
out of
Yeah.
every 10 dentists.
This movie's got the dog in it.
Love it. Bryce, you gotta spin it. It's gotta spin.
Yeah, this way?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
Hard.
right.
Yeah. Peter with that.
Not at all.
Not
Dang.
that.
2 hour hangout.
What we get?
What do we got?
I don't know.
Rightist. Okay, Dylan's gonna read
Oh
it.
no.
Rightist attack woke bam.
Yep. That's it.
Right?
Yep.
What?
What?
Rightists.
What is a
attack.
rightist?
That's a right winger,
Oh, okay.
conservative,
I've heard of the
Like
Leftist.
conservatives, I
GOP,
guess.
Yep.
or Nazi, depending on who you ask.
Oh, you'll see them in this movie.
Is it
Oh, it's-
Is
wait,
it
hold on.
Footloose?
No, hold on, let me guess. Let
Yeah,
me
go
guess.
for it.
Is this
Footloose.
no.
Final answer.
This is the hold on.
If I give you an actor,
It's an American something.
Actor.
I mean,
Damn.
it's from America.
No. Okay,
Actor.
What is it? I'm not gonna guess it.
Anton Yelchin, Yelkin?
Oh, it's
Bless
his
you.
last movie, isn't it?
one of the last few.
Yeah.
It's called The Green Room.
Yeah, that's what it was.
The Green Room is the movie we're reviewing next week.
The Green Room.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
Don't look it up.
I
Don't
have,
look it up.
I have to find it later.
I'll look it up on
Oh,
Just
that's
Watch.
later.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
what I'm
later.
doing. I'm looking to see like what it even is. Okay, that's fine. Yeah. The Green Room. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay! So make sure to tune in next week to watch The Green Room with us. Well, you won't be watching it with us, but we will be reviewing
1978 or 2016?
2016.
No, it's definitely 1978.
Yeah.
Anton Yelkin wasn't.
What does
born
that
yet.
tell you?
So anyways, make sure to... Wait, what's it on? What platforms?
It's on HBO.
Okay, good.
Ooh.
Anyways, make sure to tune in next week to watch The Green Room. If you like Casper the Friendly Ghost, let us know in the comments below. If you thought that Uzis out of trench coats are really sick, yeah, so did...
That was 2 years before The Matrix.
Yeah,
by the
that
way.
was... I know. So did the Wachowskis at the time. Not brothers anymore.
You mean Wazowski's?
No, that's Mike.
Mike Wazowski.
Always watching.
Yeah. Anyway. God, I'm so slap happy today. Let us know in the comments below what you thought of this movie. Did you watch this movie? Me either. And, kidding. Yes, I did. Like it. Subscribe it. Hit the bell. Yeah. We'll see you next time for The Green Room. Bye, guys.
Bye.
But we're in like a beige room.
We can change that.
I'm the
Change
first one to
colors.
make that joke, and it will be the last. No jokes about it next week.
It's okay.
Echo. Make all the lights green.
This is gonna be scary.
Oh,
my to do that.
Oh my God, it's
We have
green.
to do that.
It looks like
Look
it's
at
a
the
filter.
color.
Yeah, it's very green.
Yeah.
It's like
very
it's like
green.
we slaughtered Grimace, or no, what's the Grouch? Oscar
Oh
the
yeah,
Grouch.
it does.
Yeah,
Holy shit.
Grimace is definitely purple.
No, I know. I just the shape.